Welcome back.
Welcome back.
So we left off with kind of the day that I was gonna get released from the hospital.
Yeah, so on Monday, being released from the hospital. And so during that day, we knew that you were going to get released at some point, but who knew what time that was going to be. And so then during that day, I ended up still finding somebody to cover our gig Monday night because we still had gigs 6 nights a week, and Sunday was our only day off. So I had somebody that was set up ready to cover Monday night's gig, and then I heard earlier during the day that the location had decided, because so many of the people had called in and said, it sounds like this virus is getting crazy, we're not going to come. So then they decided to cancel that week, thinking that, we'll be back in 3 weeks.
Right.
So it actually works out well, because then the 2 weeks that you need to get better, you'll come back in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and we'll have a great old time at the end of March.
And then on Tuesday, the whole state shut down.
Yeah, right.
Everything.
Yeah, the governor said everything's done.
Well, it wasn't just the governor. I mean, school districts announced, hey, when the kids come back from spring break, because that was the start of spring break. When the kids come back from spring break, it's going to be virtual, and if we don't have it set up, then they're not coming back from spring break until we have it set up.
Yeah, I think
their spring break lasted like a month.
Yeah, I think they decided to extend spring break for like grade school, and even for the university, I feel like they extended maybe for a little while or something.
I think an extra week.
Yeah, I think so.
Because they weren't ready.
No, and everybody that was needing to prepare it was gone because they were already gone for spring break, so nobody was ready for it. So, but yeah, so then you came home Monday, and you're miserable. I mean, you're well enough that you could be at home, but you're still miserable. And so, I tried my best to make you comfortable and feel good, and we watched movies and just kind of chilled. And
yeah, I don't even remember. I remember coming home and sitting in the chair in the living room for a little bit, and then I feel like, I hate that flipping chair, but that's a whole nother conversation. It's not comfortable to sit in. So we moved to the bed.
Well, I think you laid down on the couch for a while, too.
We have an adjustable bed.
Yes.
So
we're spoiled.
Then I could kind of sit up and be laying down.
Right.
Kind of thing, like a recliner, and
yeah.
I don't even remember what we watched.
I don't remember at this point either. But I remember, I feel like whatever we were watching, you slept through half of it or more anyway from the couch kind of thing. And we talked about, when I picked you up in the car, whether or not we were going to isolate from each other.
I feel like we were binge watching DC stuff on Netflix, Arrow and Flash and Supergirl.
Which 6 months later, and I think we're still watching those. So.
Well, and at the time we didn't realize
there's so many.
We didn't realize that we were supposed to be watching
Tiger King.
one episode of this and one episode of that.
Oh, right.
So we would just watch like 6 episodes in a row of Flash, and then 6 of Arrow, and then 6 of...
Yeah.
And then when they had the crossover thing, we're like...
We're all confused.
we're supposed to be watching them in a special order.
Right.
But I don't think Tiger King was the first week. I think that was the next week.
I think it was the next week. So we were early adopters of watching Tiger King.
Well, and I said to you, so I watched the first episode, honey, and I'm telling you, you're going to hate this and think it's god-awful, but we got to watch this.
Yes, I remember that. But
right?
I was like, do we really have to?
So we watched the first one, and you're like, oh my God, that was like a train wreck. And I'm like, and it gets better. And you're like, what does that mean? I'm like, watch the second one. We ended up watching like 6 of them that day.
Yeah, when we first started watching, which was the next week. But yes, when we first started watching the Tiger King stuff, we did. But so that first day when you came home, yes, we relaxed on the couch. But we did talk about, as soon as I picked you up in the car, I said, the Department of Public Health is saying that we have to isolate from each other. So that means one of us is supposed to sleep downstairs,
right.
One of us upstairs, one uses the bathroom downstairs, and if we have to use the living room or kitchen, we're not supposed to be in the space at the same time. And your response right now is pretty much what you did in the car. You just laughed and you said, that's not going to work. Which I thought was funny to a certain extent, because you are definitely the person when you're not feeling well that you just want to be alone. You don't want other people around you, where I'm the complete opposite. If I'm not feeling well, I want somebody to sit with me and verify that yes, I'm miserable and
rub your back, hold your hand.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Watch the TV with me so I don't feel so alone while I'm miserable type idea. So I thought it was interesting that you were like, yeah, no, we're not going to isolate. I'm not going to not be around you at the house kind of idea. So we pretty much knew shortly after that, we decided I would probably get the virus. We weren't.
Well, and you may have already even had it at that point. You had been tested, but we didn't have the results back yet.
Right. So. And then Monday evening, also after I picked you up, then they did have me go in, and I got tested Monday evening, but we didn't get the results back until Thursday.
Right.
And so there were several days there, that before we got the results. I started feeling crappy by Wednesday. I remember that. I remember I woke up on Wednesday and went, honey, you got me sick.
Yeah, because your first test came back negative.
Right. So I get told on Thursday, I'm not sick.
Right. And then when you started feeling sick, they're like, oh, we better retest you. And then, yeah.
Right. And so then they were doing a call every day to you on the phone from the doctor's office.
And they sent a care package of medical equipment.
Yeah.
And we got to play doctor.
That's
fun.
Yeah, because we felt so good to be playing doctor.
So we had to take our
blood pressure and
our oxygen and our temperature every day and report it to them. I just want to go back to Tiger King for 1 second.
Yeah.
Team Joe. That bitch Carol Baskins did it. That's all I have to say.
Yes, definitely Carol did it, 100%. But so then, because we figured that I would get it, it wasn't something that we said for our company or anything that way either. So then it was still months. Because we haven't been out that much then, I'm working on my dissertation, so I don't really leave the house. That's part of that process. And, our company is shut down, so we very rarely left the house. We very rarely were in contact with a bunch of different people, and people knew that you had been sick, so they were giving us.
You're talking about space. After we were better.
Yeah.
Because we were sick for a whole month.
Yes, 4 miserable weeks. It was awful.
Yes.
But yeah, so it was still, there's still times now when we're talking with people and then they'll ask you, well, how was it? What was it like? Things that way. And when I give my recount of how it affected me differently than you, they're all surprised to hear that I got it as well.
It's communicable, folks.
But I think part of that was because yours was so public.
Yes.
Because of our company, and we gave that public announcement. So I ended up writing a public announcement as well on Monday night. And I sent it to a friend of mine who has her PhD in epidemiology.
Well, you need to clarify. We asked the Department of Public Health.
The Iowa Department of Public Health. Or was it Johnson County?
What did I say?
You just said Department of Public Health. Was it Johnson County?
Yeah, it was Johnson County.
Okay.
We asked them for a statement to be able to put
press
out.
Release, for our company.
And their answer to us was, we're not ready. We don't have anything put together.
We're hoping to have something in the next 48 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're like, we can't wait that long.
No.
We have to get in front of this.
Yes. Yeah. Because again, we were getting phone calls constantly. And so I ended up writing up something for our website. I believe it's still on our website. The public announcement that you had gotten the virus and kind of what had happened and how you weren't out in public with symptoms purposely. Like, we didn't realize that you were sick until you were so sick that you were staying at home, and that kind of stuff. So, but I sent it to a friend who has a PhD in epidemiology and made sure that kind of everything was included that needed to be included, and I posted it on our website, and then it went viral. It was even crazier than what it was before, because then everybody wanted more information. Oh
yeah, just random people would call us because my cell phone number is our business number.
Right. So, and mine's our backup business number. So
yes.
Both of our phones we just put them on silent.
But for every person that tried to make some bad comment about us on Facebook or any other social media, there were 100 people that jumped up and defended us and said, hey, these people didn't have to put their private life out there. They were kind enough to let everybody know where they had been at. Yeah. And they clearly said, if you were at one of our shows and you're feeling sick, go get tested.
Yes.
We were trying to be as transparent as possible.
Yes.
And again, we don't blame any place that we did a show for me catching it.
No, or any people that have been there.
Correct.
We don't have any. We're not pointing fingers at all.
And so the support that we had online way outweighed the few detractors or trolls or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, we really should thank our fans for posting and so many
some of those people had never even been to our show. I mean, we were getting messages from people from other parts of the world, saying, how courageous it was for us to put that information out there and to be open to the public so the public could be aware,
Because it was very new.
Yes.
March 14th, that was crazy early. I mean, our announcement went out on the 16th or 17th, but it's crazy to think how much we've learned about this and how many people have had it where nobody had it when we got it.
Right.
But
the Department of Public Health, the news thing that they had with all the news media there and the head of the Johnson County Johnson County Department of Public Health making his statement and misstating all kinds of stuff,
saying that you had symptoms for the whole week before you went to the hospital.
Yes, and all kinds of stuff. And when we tried to, get him to, first he wouldn't take our phone calls, and then he wouldn't retract the statement.
And they never did.
No. And at one point, the Department of Public Health and the Johnson County Board of Supervisors made the person in charge of the emergency management system or whatever.
I think that's correct, yeah.
Made her call us and ask us to take it.
Take our announcement
because
off of the website.
It was inciting fear.
Yes.
And we refused to. And she was gracious.
Yes.
She felt bad that they told her that she had to do this. She didn't really want to do it.
Yeah.
She was very, very kind and very gracious.
Yes.
But we weren't inciting fear. We were giving the public information
were trying to be transparent.
That they needed.
Right.
People needed to know, hey, it's communicable. You can get it. You can have it and not know it until you're really, really sick.
Right. Well, and there was also links for the state's site and recommending that, make sure you're doing a video call in if you feel like you have any symptoms, all that kind of stuff. I put that in as well. In case you don't know, if you haven't been following us or you're new here, that I actually have a master's in epidemiology, which is why I have a friend that has a PhD in epidemiology. So then I kind of knew information that probably should be included in general for the public on something like this. But so the statement went viral, which ended up affecting our business a little bit to the fact that we got followers that I don't think even live near us, which is something that we've never really tried to do before, which is great. And hopefully at some point we can travel with our DJ company and meet people from all over that maybe have found us because of all of this. But the fans were really amazing. I couldn't even begin to respond to everyone that was saying, thank you for being transparent, thank you for being honest and open. How many people would stand up to somebody that said, oh, they should have done this, and saying, hey, this is a small owned company. It is a husband and wife team. It's only the two of them. Clearly they're sick. They're not going to answer your phone calls and text messages.
Right.
They're not going to respond to you on Facebook. They're in bed.
I swear to God, though, it took all of the news media, newspapers, radios, TV.
Oh, it took weeks.
It took those, at least a week, if not 2 weeks, to get the hint that
it was a full 2 weeks.
We were not going to give an interview. I don't care if you were national. I don't care how much publicity that was going to give us. There was no chance of me giving any kind of an interview or statement that you could twist into something that wasn't true. Right. We put out our statement. We said what we wanted to say.
Right. We did updates on our website.
We did.
As we went. So as we were going, when about a few days later, I feel like I put an update that you were coming back home. I think that was already in the first update. I don't remember what the updates were about now at this point, but there's a couple extra updates on stuff. And so people had some information there.
I could just see a news headline, though. DJ Typhoid Mary,
Well, and that's kind of the way the news media did around here. I mean, some of the news medias were, the DJ. That happened all the time. So I went in for testing that Monday night, and they were all curious. All the nurses were like, well, why are you being tested when it's this early? Who do you think you've been in contact with? And I said, my husband is a DJ and has tested positive. And they were all like, oh, your husband's the DJ? The DJ, yes, he's the DJ. And then I had to get tested again the next Sunday because by that point I had gotten symptoms, and the doctor that was calling you heard me coughing over speakerphone and was like, has she tested positive? And they were like, no. And they're like, she needs to get tested. So they had me come back in. And then again, at that point, they asked just for tracing purposes. They weren't quite as founded and curious as to why somebody was coming in to get tested at that point. But when I said that my husband's a DJ and has contracted the virus, immediately the doctor spun around and looked at me and went, your husband's the DJ? And I was like, I think so. And they're like the first person, the DJ? I have met a celebrity. It was the funniest thing. Like, to hear that you're a celebrity for catching coronavirus, but it was in that way.
So going back to, I'm home, we're trying to get into a routine, which is hard to do because I feel like crap and you feel fine.
For the first 48 hours or so, yeah.
Right, and so while you're trying to be sympathetic and even empathetic, you can't be because you don't
really know.
Right. And so I would have a day of feeling like I maybe had the flu, like I could get up and do dishes for 10 minutes, but I'd be worn out.
Right.
Or I could get up and cook a meal for 20 minutes, but then I would be worn out. And that was about the extent of what I could do.
Right.
And then the next 2 days, I couldn't even do that.
Right.
It would be all I could do to walk from the bedroom out to the living room.
Yep.
and eat something.
Yep.
And then, once you got sick,
yeah.
Then both of us were just like, we were lucky if we had one day where we could do anything, and then 2 days of just, you'd sleep almost 20 to 22 hours out of the day.
Yeah, and people didn't really believe that at first. So, when we were telling people stories of this, that I would count out a day, a normal day with the coronavirus, is we'd wake up at maybe 8, and we'd come out and we'd eat a little bit, and by 9:30, 10 o'clock, we were tired and we'd go back to bed. And then we would sleep until like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then we might get up and eat a little bit, and we'd go back to bed at about 5:30, and then we'd sleep until 8 o'clock the next morning. And that was very typical with the coronavirus. It wasn't even a matter of, I just need to read a little bit, for my GA position or my dissertation. It didn't matter. I didn't have any time that I was awake unless I was eating, and half the time I almost fell asleep while I was eating.
So here's a little background about me. I'm kind of a coffee snob.
Oh yeah.
And I
not kind of.
I have a ritual.
You are a total coffee snob, and I don't drink coffee, and I know this.
I have a ritual of getting up every morning and making my coffee, and I make my coffee really strong, and I drink about a pot of coffee every day. And I generally drink it in the morning. Rarely do I drink coffee in the afternoon. And we reached a point in the second week of the virus I started losing my sense of taste and my sense of smell, and I didn't really make the connection yet at that point.
No, right. Well,
I just was like, the coffee just doesn't taste very good. It doesn't taste right, and I quit drinking coffee. I didn't drink coffee for like 10 days, 2 weeks, something like that. Or if I might make a pot and have like half a cup.
Right.
And it just didn't
Well,
taste good.
at that time, I don't feel like that was one of the symptoms that was out for anybody with the virus yet.
Well, I remember seeing something online about some people are losing,
Yeah,
might be
feel like
connected to the virus.
I feel like that was a week to 2 weeks after you started losing your sense of taste. And then I didn't even realize that I had really lost my sense of taste and smell. Probably because
until that third
week.
week.
Really, about the third week. But we weren't really eating much either because you weren't doing anything, and you feel like crap. So it wasn't.
Which is weird because we still put on weight.
True. Yeah. I don't know how that happened. But I remember because sometimes we didn't sleep the same schedule, right? So I had one of my days where I was down in bed for longer, and you were feeling pretty good that day. And so I remember coming out from the bedroom, and you were standing in the kitchen at the stove, and I said, "What you doing?" And you're like, "I'm making something for supper." And I said, "Well, that's awesome because, thank goodness we had lots of freezer meals, and we could just pop things in the microwave or the oven to eat."
Right, but you said, "That's good. I'm really hungry. What are you making?"
Yeah, I said, "That's good. What are you making?" And you turned and looked at me, and you gave me the strangest look on your face, and you just went, "Bacon?"
Because at that point I had my sense of smell back, and the whole kitchen I mean, the whole house probably smelled of bacon.
I'm sure that bacon is not something you can't smell.
Right, and I cooked the whole package of bacon.
And I wasn't very far away from you. I was probably only about, 20 feet?
Yeah.
And the fact that I couldn't even tell that you were making bacon. So we knew at that point, then it was a couple days after that I remember you reading something and going, hey, so loss of taste and smell, that tends to be a symptom of the coronavirus.
So as time went on, once you had it and I had it, right, we had this cycle of having an okay day and then 1 or 2 days of sleeping 20 hours of the a day, right. And then it wasn't until that 4th week where that kind of went away and we were feeling a little bit better.
It felt like the regular flu almost by
right.
that point.
But I still had that cough that last week, and that's when I knew I was over the virus. When I would cough and it didn't feel like glass moving up and down in my chest, then I knew I was better. But I never had a fever the whole time.
No, and I didn't either.
And that threw the doctor off all the time.
Yeah, it did.
And we were lucky. Our pulse ox that they were calling us about all the time, it stayed good. There was one point where mine got a little bit low.
Right.
I think mine got down to 93 or 92, and they said if it gets to 92 or 91, can't remember exactly which, but then they were like, then you'll need to come back in.
Right. Anything in 90 or lower or something like that, they wanted you to come in.
Well, even 91, I think, or 92, something I know. Because I was right on that edge, but it didn't go below that. Yeah.
So, well, I think we're about out of time, so we'll pick up again with the next episode of the coronavirus. I promise there's other topics that we'll get to at some point within Morrison Madness, but we realize that this is a big topic, a big thing that happened to us.
Well, and even as we touch on other topics, we will probably bring back things about the coronavirus, like COVID brain. It is a real thing.
It is a real thing.
There are a lot of times when there are normal words that we should know, and they're not there. We go to reach for them in our brain,
right?
Just can't find them.
We'll probably just say COVID brain randomly in our episodes, just for fun. But we'll bring you in next time. Wrapping up kind of our experience with the coronavirus and some symptoms that we're still currently having 6 months later, and how it has affected us probably at this point potentially permanently.
Right.
So we'll see you next time.
Thanks.